So good evening everyone once again. I don't know where you may be, but right here where I am, we're in the evening. So good evening everybody. Or should I say good day everybody? And thanks for being here. So the topic itself is igniting community growth with effective marketing. So there are two terms there which are what community and marketing. So we might have, you would have heard the term community being used a lot. Yeah. So yes, thank you very much for that. So we would have heard the term community being used a lot. So community, but what exactly does community mean? Please, can you help me go to the next slide? Thank you. Okay, so community, what exactly does it mean? So community is a term that is used a lot. And in fact, many people believe that, having social media followers who like and comment, all those celebrities, they believe it's a community. But then that's not really a community. That is an audience. So there is a difference between an audience and a community. You see, for an audience, it's more like one to many. An audience is more like one to many, while a community is many to many. So a community is where people are actively engaged in a brand. They start conversations, they post their own content, they create, share, and collaborate together to work towards a common goal. And also, having a community means you have a loyal group of people that support yourselves, support each other in your endeavors. So, and now I'll be focusing more on tech communities because we are currently in one tech community. So example of tech community, so they are common groups of people, and common group of people who share interest in technology, and an excitement for keeping with the latest news and trends and developments in the industry. And these communities exist both online and offline, and they really help you advance personally in your career. And we have a few of them here in Nigeria also, which we have of course, which the CMX Connect is one of them, which has many branches across both Africa and other places. Then we have, Figma Africa, we have DevOps, we have Google Developers Groups and the likes. So those are basically tech
All right, awesome. So how many
communities.
people can see the screen? If you can see the screen, kindly use the chat box.
Okay, so I can continue, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Um.
Can you see the screen as well?
Okay, please, the next slide.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Rahim.
So now that we have gotten a glimpse of what community is, I've like introduced you, even though you might have heard of it before, but then I've just told you what exactly community is. So how do we go grow communities using effective marketing? So please, the next slide. Yes, here it is. So marketing, you might have been hearing of marketing before, and for maybe a
So
layman
can the
or
speaker hear me? Can we begin? Shall we begin so that the time will not be
Nas,
too fast spent? Thank you.
yes.
Nasir, we've started.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Bilal. I'm with you. I mean, we are on the
Okay, okay,
same
okay,
page.
okay,
But Nasir
okay.
network, I'm
So,
not sure. Nasir
okay,
can probably connect and join again.
okay, okay. So I was talking about marketing. So a lot of people actually, think marketing is selling, literally means selling. When we hear marketing for the first time, we thought is not, selling something to somebody. So you might be wondering that how does marketing actually relate to community growth? But before I even talk about how marketing relates to community growth, what exactly is marketing? Because marketing, we just believe marketing is just all about selling something to people. Well, let me put it this way: marketing is actually the process of getting people interested in a particular product or a particular service. So it's not necessarily selling. You just want to get them interested in a particular thing. And this happens through market research, analysis, and understanding your customer or audience's interests. And it aims to, deliver standalone values for prospects and consumers through content. And the long-term goal of marketing is to demonstrate the value of the product or the service, then to strengthen the brand loyalty. And in cases whereby you have maybe a paid product or something, you also want to ultimately increase sales. So that is basically what marketing is all about. So now, how exactly do you market and grow your community online? So there are a few tips I'll be sharing. Please, the next slide. So yes, there are a few ways to go about that.
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing is to actually know, understand, and establish your audience. The first part of marketing your community is understanding who you are marketing to. Because the thing is, you can't actually market to everybody. You can't, your target audience cannot be everybody. That way, your community will not be, you will not have a particular goal, and you will not have a focus. So, you actually have to narrow down your focus to a smaller subset of active people in the space. And this is called niching down. We marketers call it niching down. So, you niche down to a particular audience. So when you niche down, you find a particular group of people that you want to target. For example, now these tech communities that we have all around us, they niche down to a certain level, which is only people who are interested in, people who are interested in, tech careers and the likes. So it is a community that targets mainly tech people. So, and one thing is to actually know your audience, there are some things you should do. So you can ask the following questions. So if you want to know your audience, there's this thing we marketers call a user persona. So a user persona is like a, how will I call it, a model of who you want your audience to be, who exactly your target audience is, like a model of one person among your target audience. So to actually create your buyer persona, your user persona, sorry. So the questions you need to ask. The first one is, how old is my audience? You need to know the age, the age range of your audience, because different things attract things interest people of different ages. Something that is going to interest people between the age of 18 to 30 is going to be quite different, or a little bit different, to something that will interest people 31 and above, and also people who are teenagers. So there is a certain, you need to know a certain age group. You need to know how old the audience is. Then you also need to know their level of education. Now we have different levels of education. We have the elementary school, and we also have, in Nigeria here, we have the elementary school, we have the secondary school, and then we have the higher institutions. So you need to know the audience level of education, because as a community, one thing you are going to do is you are going to create content. And for you to create content, you actually have to know the educational level. So actually if your audience will understand this particular content or not. And in fact, because there are some things that maybe there are communities of maybe like top professionals, there are some certain languages that you are going to use in that kind of community that is going to be quite different from a community of people who are just joining tech. So you also need to know the level of education. Then you need to know what are their main interests. Now that is very, very important. The interest of, okay, now people, let's say for example you are a tech community. You actually need to know what are their interests in tech. Why do they want to join tech, and what are the the tech skills they are interested in having. So that way, when you actually know the interests your audience have, then you can easily create your content, and also tailor your brand towards that edge. Though people might have is going to people will have different interests, obviously, but then you just have to narrow it down to you have to like summarize, all their interests. Then you also have to know where the audience spends most of their time. That is very, very important. So your audience, the and it depends on the kind of audience you have. For example, now your audience can be spending most of their time on maybe LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. So you actually need to, that means you are going to do a lot of research. So in the first step of actually knowing, understanding, and establishing your audience, the main thing you are going to do is research. So now you are targeting a community of tech people, for example. So where are the places you are likely to find tech people? So, and I believe that's where we have the likes of Twitter and LinkedIn. Especially LinkedIn and Twitter are like very key social media that you can find a lot of tech people, even though we have other media such as Facebook, WhatsApp. But then the main place where you find key communities on, like relating to tech, that is where we have Twitter and LinkedIn, even though there might also be others. So you actually need to know where the audience spends most of their time. Then you also have to know what type of languages they use, what are the main pain points. Yes, this is also very important. Now, for people to join a tech community, they must have a particular reason. So it is that reason that you would know, that you would actually use to tone your brand towards that listen. Now, some people's reasons to join tech communities, to rub mind with like-minded people, to connect with them, to network with them, to learn one or two things from them. And some other people, they actually join tech communities to learn more about tech and also to land a tech job. So you need to know the main pain points, why they are joining the community, and also what can how you can help them solve their problems. So I believe all this, when you ask the following the those questions I mentioned, when you ask them, you have a glimpse, you have an idea of what your target audience look like. Though it's still going to vary, but it's at least it's going to be a rough estimate. Maybe at least you have 70%. When you create a user persona, so at least you should have like 70% of an average person of that community. So, and you might also have to create a few different personas to embody the range of people you might be targeting. And to discover this, you actually have to maybe go out and talk to other people, or search. And that's where you do your research. Well, you search Facebook groups, Quora communities, Twitter communities. So you see the mindsets of your target audience. You identify the topics they are talking about, and find the pain points that they are experiencing. And in fact, when you start this research, it might seem very tedious at first, when you start creating, but when you actually start creating the content, you see that it's going to make it much more targeted and empathetic. That these particular people you are targeting, they will know that, oh, this community is targeting me. This is actually me. So that is your aim in that case. So, and also, it is very important to make clear not only who your target audience is, but who your target audience is not. Because yes, so you actually have to, but the thing is, in making clear who your target audience is, I believe that should also make clear who your target audience is not. So you are going to create content and campaigns that would clearly compare the audience that you are trying to um So my next point is going to be to utilize social media. Yes, thank you very much. So social media is like the best way to market your online communities. Yeah, because almost everybody in this, we are in the 21st century, the digital age. Almost everybody is on social media. Now there are different social media platforms, but before you actually create it, okay, let me, in fact, what I should have put as number one is select the right platform. because that's before anything. That is very, very important before anything, because there are different social media platforms we have. They work for different things. You work WhatsApp. There is a particular range of things WhatsApp can do. Then we have, Facebook, we have Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and YouTube, and the likes. So there is a particular thing that every social media can do. And you shouldn't really try to market your community on every social media platform. Just look for the ones the members of your audience use the most. So you pick the communities where your audience members are the most active and are most likely to engage with your content. And how do you know? Is actually when you do your research. So this will take me back to the first point, that when you actually do your research, you can get that information from your audience, while creating your user persona. So you pick a particular this thing. And I talked earlier about the social media that works for a particular community. For tech communities, for example, now the social medias that can work, maybe that would work best, maybe LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. For Instagram might really work, but then it depends on your particular target audience. But Instagram might not really work for tech communities. So having it would not be that bad. For example, if it's a community that talks about maybe fashion now, Instagram is going, or maybe food, a particular type of maybe cuisine or something. Instagram is going to be a very, very huge way to create that community, because Instagram is more of videos and picture features. So you actually have to select the right platform for your community. Then my number two will now be what? To create a separate and branded account. So because when you are creating a community, no matter how big or small, you have to create a separate profile to market it and grow your following. So when you have a separate profile for a community, that people will know that, oh, it is this particular community that owns this page. For example, CMX Connect Ilorin, now they have a LinkedIn page, they have I think a Twitter page also. So that way we would know that. So when anybody actually sees the page, you know that this particular page is for CMX Connect. So when you actually create a separate account, so it can be on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, depending on your audience. So you use this as a place to promote your community and also to get other people interested, and also, in fact, get current members of the community to interact with your account, because that is also very, very important. When you create a separate account, it's still on a particular social media platform that your members of the community will also be on. So your members of the community will be the ones that would interact with your account. So please give me about 30 seconds.
Hope everyone is following our session. If you are following, kindly send one in the chat box. Number one, just type one in the chat box if you are following. Awesome, awesome, Matthew. Awesome, Ibrahim. Thank you all. Thank you, thank you. So he'll be back shortly. Probably in our next session, we might be having a raffle draw. I don't know yet. Okay, our speaker is back.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry for the delay. So I talked about how to utilize social media. So, and the third point is now going to be to set up your profile for success. So you should name your profile according to your community. Now, that this is where branding comes in. So I feel, though I'm not really much of person a brand, though I know about branding, but then I'm not a brand identity designer, so they are the one that can talk about this better. But then there's one thing about branding: there's a way you can set the tone of the way you create content, the profile logo, the fonts that would actually resonate with your audience. And I believe hiring a brand identity designer can help you do justice to this part. And also, you should put a link to your community in the bio, and have a short but precise description that touches the main keywords in your field. And if it depends on the platform you are using. So if the platform you are using allows to turn the account into a business account, because I believe all the social media platforms or the business accounts, they used to have more features, and it's going to be better for your community. So that is that about utilizing social media. So I'll go to the next point, which is scheduling content in advance. Please help me with the slide. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so this is also very important, because when you have an audience, you actually have to keep them in check. You have to keep them in line with audio with content. So having a steady stream of content is key to marketing your community. And to do this, you have to pre-make and schedule your content, because let's say, for example, you create content maybe on Mondays, Wednesdays, and maybe Saturdays. You actually have to have scheduled what exactly you are going to post. Like, you would know, you would have that's where members of the community come in, because you would know what particular content you create for this particular day, what particular content you create for this particular days. And there are also special days. I don't know, maybe there is I don't really know about events, but there used to be some particular days whereby they are celebrating some particular people in a particular profession. So also, you can also schedule content for those kind of days. So when you schedule your content, you pre-make it before the time you want to post the content. It's going to make it easier. It's going to make it easier in creating content, because content creation is extremely important in communities, because you are giving out free value, you are also building expertise, and giving people a taste of what they could experience if they join your community. Yeah. So that is that about content. So the next one is to try to go viral. Please, the next slide. So now this part might not work for every social media platform. Yes, this is it. So this one might not really work for every social media platform, but for communities that hey, I in fact I was talking about communities. I didn't mention TikTok. TikTok is also one very good social media platform that will help in building communities. So when you want to try to go viral, you have to do it very carefully. And it's how do I call it? It is easier on social media like Instagram and TikTok, because on TikTok we have TikTok challenges, whatever is. So there will be some particular things that are going on in the field, and the particular things people are talking about. So that is where your research comes into place. That, oh, what are people talking about in this particular field? So you create your content towards that kind of things, and you try to hop on challenges. There are different kind of challenges for different kind of audience and communities that you are trying to do. So when you hop on challenges and create content to try to go viral, this would help many people see your content. Many people would like be more aware of your content, and it will also put your brand name, the community out there. However, it is this where the reason why I actually put carefully there is that when trying to go viral, it is very important that not to lose the actual purpose of the community, because even if you want to create content that you feel probably might go viral, that people might react with, you actually have to make them stay true to the the values of that community. Ensure that it stays true to your message. So you should not actually prioritize people getting to know your audience more than the authenticity of your mission. Especially when you are building a community, you want to stay true to your niche, your audience, and your voice. Otherwise, people won't connect with you enough. And even if they join, they might not want to stay for long, because they would be like, these people are not your target audience anymore. So the next one is to spotlight your community members. The next slide, please. So one thing that would help you when marketing your community is putting members of your community in the spotlight. That means, like celebrating them, or like that this is where your social media pages would come into place. Like you'd make people know, oh, this is the lead, this is the team lead, this is the co-lead, this is our graphic designer, this is that. So people would actually know more about the people who, because when a community, the easiest way to connect to people is by being personal. So they would know that the community is also being run like them, people who care about them, and people who are just like them and have the kind of skills they have. So, and when you also spotlight the put community members in the spotlight, not only will it show people what they are missing, but it is also going to show people how this particular community is helping its members to helping its members, and not just promote the brand and promote the community every day, but also it's like the community is giving to the members of the community are giving to the community, and also the community is giving back towards the brand. So when you spotlight people who perfectly embody your target audience, it's going to be easier for potential members to see themselves in your community. But it still it still varies depending on the kind of community you are. You can even create a member of the month or something, or just a trend. I think this is going to be it all depends on how creative you can be about it. So it's when you create a member of the month now, so it really showcases how the impact your community is having on other people's lives. And in fact, if let's say someone joins your community, if someone that is well respected, maybe a celebrity in, for example, let's say this is a tech community now, a celebrity in the tech community now joins your community, be sure to highlight that as well, because that way you are promoting them while you are also promoting your community. And in fact, there are also another way to spotlight community members is by celebrating milestones. Maybe when you hit your first 500 members, your first 1000 members, first 5000 members, first 10K members. So this would actually also create social proof that this community is working. And in fact, this would even reassure and motivate people to get involved, because if people see that, oh, this particular community has 3000 members, they would think, oh, this community should actually be worth it, because if 3000 members can devote their time to actually join this community, that means it must be giving them a certain thing, is more, it must be worth it. So the next slide, please. The next one is now to give free value. Yeah. So giving free value, it is very, very key in motivating people to invest in you and your community. Because come to think of it, who would invest in you if you are not willing to invest in them? This life is more like a two-way thing. You give and you take. Like Isaac Newton says, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So when your audience actually sees that you are providing free value in front of tips, videos, inspirations, it's going to be more likely that they want to support you in return. And it is key in, you have to make it something they would really use, which is which an example is this kind of events that CMX is organizing now. So when you organize these kind of events, yes, so some free ideas you can provide for your audience is free events and webinars, panel discussions, workshops, so that talk about happenings in related to the community's audience, for this community now, which is the tech space and the tech communities. So when you organize free events, it makes people want to join more because they believe they are getting a particular thing from this the community. And other things you can do is give out informational ebooks, just like something like a PDF file or a presentation. So just ebooks that would actually contain vital information that would help people. They can also do that. Another thing is also through um posting maybe tips and tricks using graphics and maybe videos also. That way people would and also when you are creating that kind of stuff, you are doing two things at a time. You are promoting your community because definitely your community is going to be the one that is doing it, and also you are giving back to the audience. So the next slide, please. Yeah. The next slide. So the next one is to initiate engagement. I've been hammering on the importance of social media in marketing a community. Now you can see that marketing is not necessarily selling, but it's just making people get interested in a particular thing. So when you are marketing your community, you have to encourage people to engage with you, whether to be it to, because since you're using social media, so you have to encourage people to engage with you, whether it is to like a post, to comment their opinion on a video, or to participate in a poll or contest. But you have to create engagement. This is where a social media manager comes in. Every community should have a social media manager. If you can find volunteers, if you have volunteers that would help you do it, is fine. And also if the community is well to do and has sponsors and funds, it's something that you can hire a social media manager to help you, because actually initiating engagement is very, very important, because engagement will actually put the brand out there and see it more. And in fact, when people see that a lot of people are engaging with a particular community, they would also want to engage with the community. And in fact, studies show that whenever people are connected to a brand, when they feel connected to a brand, they are 57% more likely to invest the time or money in it. So you have to initiate engagement so as to make people connected to that brand. And when you ask for their opinions, you ask them to, and in fact, when you ask people to for their opinions or something, you actually make them feel important, because they also believe that way. They would also feel and believe they are contributing something to the community, and they will feel more valued and more connected to you. The next slide, please. Yeah. So starting a newsletter. Even though email marketing might seem like because people have the feeling that emails don't really work anymore in this kind of age, but then they still work, because it's extremely relevant, because the kind of people you are targeting now, I think they use mails more often. And when you build when you nurture an email list, you actually grow a sense of community and connection between you and your readers. So that is where you actually, the newsletter can be maybe weekly or monthly or bi-weekly, depending on how the content is, or depending on the audience. So when you have a newsletter, that is another way to make people feel very connected and interested in your brand. The next slide, please.
Sir, kindly check your DM on the CMX Connect platform.
Okay, I
Thank
will
you.
check it. Hey, really?
So it's fine. Let's proceed. Let's proceed. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I
Yeah,
can.
you
So
can.
I heard that the session is ending by 6 p.m.
That was the initial plan, but seems like you are not done yet. Yeah, you can just
Oh
proceed.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll try to make it more snappy now. So the next point is to build word of mouth using a community hashtag. I think this is more of social media. When you the most effective way to get people to invest their time or money into something, especially if people don't know about your brand or trust your brand, is by hearing about it from a friend. And this way is going to make people feel instantly more connected and trusting. Let me cite an example. I'm a person that uses perfumes a lot. So if I want to buy a particular type of perfume now, I say I want to buy perfumes, and my friend just recommends a perfume, maybe Choco Musk or another kind of perfume, and he says, "Oh, this perfume is very nice. I've used it and it's stuff." I'm most likely going to try out that perfume than just a random perfume that I saw on a person's status or a person's story. So that you can also test this tactic using a community. That is where you use community hashtags. And in fact, how I came into contact with CMX is I heard of it from a friend because I have, friends in the who are also pursuing tech careers. So that is how I heard of this community. So you can test out this tactic and also encourage the audience and the members to use the hashtag when they want to post about the experiences in the community. So it's going to help both ways. It's going to help them in building their personal brand, which is the members of your community themselves, and also it will also help to build credibility for your community as well. So the next slide, please. Yeah. So inform people what you can do for them and not the other way around. You see, there's something in marketing. There is a particular radio station in marketing that every how do I call it, consumer, every target audience tunes to, which is WIIFM, which is what is in it for me. Because when people, I believe there is everything we do, it actually has to have something, a benefit for us. Because if it doesn't really have a benefit, people might not really be interested. So you inform people what you can do for them and not the other way around. Because effective marketing actually comes down to how much you talk. It doesn't really it's not really more about how much you talk about yourself, but also how much you talk about the audience and the members. I'm not saying you shouldn't share your personal stories, as the community. That is absolutely nice, and it will help the community too. But then make sure that the majority of your messaging is not about what people can do for you, how people will help your community, or how your community is great. This is the best community out there and the likes, but also what your products or your community would do for them. For example, maybe you can just have something like, maybe sign up for this community and you find a network that will support you throughout your tech career, something like that. So that way they actually know that, oh, there is something in it for them, that when I join this particular community, I would network with certain people, I would gain this and this. And in fact, highlighting the benefits for the user is even far more effective than simply just promoting the community. So you have to do both. So the next one, so you have to focus more on empathizing and caring about the customer, and not only promoting your community. Yeah, next slide, please. Thank you. So you have to highlight your community's unique qualities. When promoting your community, you have to focus more on what makes the community actually different and unique compared to other competitors. Because when you have a community, there is a very, very high chance that there will be a similar community towards there will be a similar community that is like your own community. So if you are constantly talking about how your community is better than other communities, it's going to give the notion that, oh, these people in this particular community are proud and self-centered. But then if you actually take a particular angle that highlights the uniqueness of that community and what comes out, maybe for example you give out particular distance, you give out a specific benefits that others don't give. So you would be sure to naturally stand out. And you don't really know, even if you don't really know what is unique about a community, I think that is where you have to actually do your target or your research, because it is very important that you make your community stand out, so that it is going to help you in building your name, and making it's more aware, making people more aware. Next slide, please. Yeah. So collaborate with big names in the space. You see, and I believe that is what this community has been doing for quite a while, because a great way to market your community is to collaborate with other big people in the space. So you actually have to find people who first resonate with your target audience. They resonate with what your community is all about. Then they also have they have quite the audience. So that way you are promoting each other. That means when you engage the audience, it is a great way to create a partnership, and make, because when you engage with big people in the industry now, the people who those people in the industry will also have their audience. So when they know that, oh, this particular person or this particular big name or celebrity is collaborating with this community, so they instantly get to know about the community. And if they feel the community is something that would help them, it would even increase more people to actually join that community. So so you actually have to do your research on, when you want to collaborate with big people, and don't be afraid to reach out, because the worst they can say is no. The worst, when you reach out to a particular person, the worst they can actually say is no. And even if they say no, they can actually refer you to somebody else or something. So collaborating with big people is also a very, very key and important thing in marketing your community. The next slide, please. So I think we'll soon be done. Yeah, use analytics. So I'm not really a data guy, a tech guy like that, but also it is actually very, very important to look at the data, showing how your new members are doing when they enter your community. I think this is where the analytics comes in. That's where you have to check the engagement. You have to check how not only how your existing community members are engaging with your community, but also how new members also engage. How long people stay when they sign up. And in fact, sometimes it's not really the marketing of your community. That is where you know, when you actually analyze it. That is where you know maybe the marketing is the problem, or the community experience is the problem. So the next slide, please. Yeah. So giving back. So even though I've been making references towards these particular points, but I still actually had to make it a point, because the whole point of starting a community is not really to take spotlight, but actually give the spotlight to others. In fact, even when someone so that is where you actually make them feel appreciated for joining your community. In fact, even when someone maybe leaves a comment on your particular social media post or join your community, you can make sure they feel welcomed and appreciated. Take that. So I think the social media manager is going to have this work. You should take that extra minutes to like that comment, and maybe respond to community members will always have lots of messages they want for a particular thing. So when you respond to their DM once in a while, they know that, oh, this community also also this community also cares for them. And in fact, not only is it like when you give back to people, not only is it part of being a kind and ethical brand, but also you are returning the favor from making people from people joining your brand. So always give back, no matter how small the community is, because that is the reason you actually created the community. So the next slide, please. So we've been talking about what you should do as a community, like what you should do. So how about the things you shouldn't do? The next slide. Yes. So I would just highlight three things that you shouldn't do. The first thing is you shouldn't really create fear. Even though in marketing there is something called FOMO, which is fear of missing out. And we often use it, especially marketers, we use it as a way to generate leads to make people sign up for a particular thing. So, but creating fear is not the only way to actually build a loyal community. But even though there are some certain times where you can use fear of missing out, in the sense that if they don't join this community, you are missing out on this particular thing. So that is the only place where you can actually use the fear of missing out. So the key is actually to make sure you are targeting the right people and you are doing it truly to help your community. So the reason is you shouldn't actually make people feel inferior for not joining your community. So you actually have to be very, very careful in that aspect. And now the next one is don't sleep in people's DMs or inboxes without permission. And this is a thing that a lot of people fall prey to. This is a thing that a lot of people fall prey to. Like this is a big turn off actually, because even if you know that this particular person, this particular part of your audience is a perfect match for your community, you should not send them a DM or an email without permission. It's only if they actually have, if they give you the permission to send it. So that way it's going to be easier, because if you actually send them this thing without permission, it's something that they can either report you or put the messages in the spam message, and it turns potential customers away. And the third one is don't pay for followers and engagements. Now, this is a place where a lot of communities get it wrong, because many people on social media will pay for likes or use certain bots to tweak their content so that they will get more likes and followers to check the algorithm. But in the long run, it's not really, really good for the community, because that way is going to make you look so inauthentic, and it's going to make you look very, very desperate. So instead, you should focus on creating the value and generating the right people, rather than getting as many views and likes as you possibly can. So the next slide. I think we just have like 3 slides more. Okay, now, so when I was talking about community, there are different type of communities. There are free communities and paid community. You see, when you're running a free community, to get signed up is much easier, because um they are not paying anything for it. But then people still value their time in this 21st century that we are. So you still have to convince them that your community is worth their time and energy over someone else's. So that's where you can do it by providing social proof and making the sign up process as simple as possible. So that is that for a free community. But for a paid community, it's cost a membership fee. So you might have a little bit harder time recruiting members at the beginning, because so you actually have to prove yourself a bit more to your potential customers. You have to state the reasons that them subscribing to your community is actually worth it. You have to promote it, and you have to make sure to show the future members that when they join, they will get a particular return, ROI, return on income, and return on investment. So ROI is return on investment. So you actually have to show the future members that they will get a particular return on investment if they join. But even before all that, you still have to provide a lot of free value first before expecting sign-ups from your followers. So it's all about being patient and building credibility. So when you build credibility, sales will be much easier. So I think I'll be coming towards the end of the webinar. The next slide. Okay, so this is basically about me. So even though the moderator has introduced me earlier, so I'm basically just a direct response copywriter, a public speaker, and a student leader. I help business owners sell more and stuff. So this is about me. And if you want to connect with me, I think in the flyer earlier there is a link to my account there where you can connect with me. The next slide, please. Yeah, so I want to thank everybody. I first start with thanking CMX Connect Ilorin and the community manager for actually, making this thing happen and making me try to share my little knowledge about marketing with the audience. And I also thank the co-host, the moderator, for that wonderful introduction and for also being here. And I want to thank everybody for being present, because it's this joining this kind of webinars are where we learn about a lot of things and more.
Awesome. Thank you very much. You have actually shared a bunch of values for everybody. Can you hear me? I believe you've shared a bunch of values for everybody. So please, if I need you to like say a huge thank you to the speakers, can we say like five thank yous once? Let's go. Five thank yous. Five thank yous. Let's go. I've seen one. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Rahim. Let's go. I've seen the third, the fourth. Let's have another one. Five thank yous. I mean, this is a free webinar. You shouldn't be stingy to say thank you. I mean, yeah, thank the speaker. I mean, he has done a great job for his presentation. And another thing I would also want us to do humbly is I'm going to send a link to the chat box now. Let's go to the link. Thank you, Muhammad. So let's go to the link. And I know, except if we don't, if we want to hide it, at least you have gained one or two things. Even if you joined lately, you would have gained one or two things. Just quote the tweet. Just go to Twitter, quote the tweet, and mention even just one point. It doesn't necessarily have to be more than one line. Just one point. It doesn't necessarily have to be more than two lines. Just let us know what you've gained from the session. As we conclude today. I don't know. Does anybody has any question? So we can wrap it up. And if you don't, you can just be doing the codes. If you have any question, kindly raise your hand or something.
And if you would like to speak, we can make you a. We can give you a mic if you are interested in speaking. I don't know if Matthew have a feedback for us. I'll be giving him the mic now, so he can say a few things. Any other person, if you have a question, if you have a feedback, you can tell us what something you learned from the session, anything. Yeah, Matthew, if you'd like to say anything, a word of encouragement, anything. Currently, you are muted. I don't know if you are speaking.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Different interface I'm getting used to. So I was just saying that no, good presentation. I've taken some notes because we're over the next couple of weeks. We're really overhauling our overall digital engagement strategy. So there's some good feedback here I could take back to our team, and I'm going to be attending the CMX conference in California in later April. So I'm looking forward to that. So thank you very much.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. I might also be in the summit. I don't know yet. I'm working on it.
Okay,
Hopefully,
great.
I'm able to make it. We get to connect there.
Awesome. Great. Hope to see you.
Thank you. So over to you,
So
Nasser.
thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Matthew, for the feedback. It means a whole lot to us. And yeah, I think I've started seeing notifications that yeah, some people actually gained from the session and they quote the tweets. Can also comment or um um use the chat box for the tweet. Thank you everybody. Does anybody has any question? Let's see in the chat box. I don't have any question. Let's see in the chat box. I have a question. Let's see in the chat box. Okay. In the absence of questions, I believe. Okay. I believe this question is for you, Azuz, as Ablaziz. This is question says, how can we attend the CMX summit, which you and Matthew just spoke about? I believe I would love to go with you too.
Actually, for the CMH summit, uh, the thing is, I don't think there is sponsorship now, but the only thing CMS can do for us and as a community that I can do for our community is just to give you guys tickets. I think the tickets worth about $500 or so, or $1,000. I don't know, for the whole event, for the workshops and everything. But you have to pay for your expenses to get there, and it is happening in California, just like what Matthew said. I'll be sharing more information about that on our community group. So yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
There are two levels at the. Matt, if you like to share more information, kindly do that.
Yeah, I have the website here someplace. I can drop it into the chat.
Please do. Thank you. Thank you, Mariam, for the question. Hope it has been answered.
I put the chat in the link. Thank you.
Awesome. Received. Thank you, sir. So you can definitely check it, Mariam, for more information about the summit. And yeah, she mentioned that she would love to have this scholarship. So if you're part of the community, yeah, if you're part of the community, then stay tuned. Always check the messages. So yeah, thank you to the chapter director. Thank you to our speaker first, Mr. Hussein. Really appreciate your support and for being here to share us the insights and of course, as Matthew said, in the world of everybody's talking about social media, this is going to help a lot. Thank you very much for that. Also, thank you to the chapter director for facilitating this event, Abdulaziz Akabi. It's actually a pleasure. And also to Mr. Matthew and everybody that attended. Thank you for coming. And I thank myself for moderating. Yeah. See you in the next one.